Welcome, everyone. We are coming to you today from New York City, and today I'm extremely happy to welcome from the EU Parliament, a Parliament member, Christine Anderson. We've had a little bit of a technical thing, so we will just be getting an audio, but I just feel that she's an important person for us to speak to, and delighted to have her however we can bring her into the program. Negotiations on new rules for dealing with pandemics begin at the World Health Organization imminently, and Christine is raising the alarm about medical freedoms, and I've heard some speeches on her part that were very fiery and moving, and I agreed wholeheartedly with, so we'll hear from her. Of course, Kelly Victory joins us as well. We'll be out on the Restreams, we'll be on the Twitter Spaces, and we'll be over at the Rumble Rants. We'll be right back after this.
Our laws as it pertains to substances are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for Christ's sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
Thanksgiving is almost here, which means it's time for the best Genucell sale of the year. Just in time for the holidays, save over 60% off both of our personally tailored Genucell skincare packages at Genucell.com/Drew, so you can look your very best at all of your Thanksgiving gatherings. Look 10, 15, 20 years younger, guaranteed, with the best natural skincare anywhere. Take advantage of Genucell's best sale of the year and say goodbye to fine lines, crow's feet, puffiness, and dark spots. The Genucell experience is like no other, but don't take my word for it. You will look and feel your absolute best or your money back, no questions asked. So for results in 12 hours or less, Genucell's immediate effects is included for free. Plus, if you go to Genucell.com/Drew now, you'll get a free upgrade to priority shipping. That is Genucell.com/Drew, Genucell.com/Drew.
All right, I'm going to get Christine Anderson here in just a second. Let me just give you some of her particulars before I do. You can follow her on Facebook. It's the Make It Your Business Tour over on Facebook. Twitter, I'm going to give you her specific Twitter handle, which is @Anderson, capital A, small f, capital D, capital M, small d, capital E, capital P. And there's the Make It Your Business Tour placard there. It is. You should be making it your business. Educate yourself so you can decide which way you feel on this. But to me, it feels ominous and it feels problematic. And God knows they screwed. The World Health Organization showed itself not to be a worthy source of authority during the pandemic, and now they just want more authority. So it seems like not the most advisable sort of construct for moving forward. And because of the experiences of pandemic, I'm so clear that I think I've been known for many years, which is that the most efficient and effective unit in medicine is a well-trained caring physician and a patient who's informed and motivated also. That's your best unit. We have completely adulterated what physicians can do. So I'm putting a lot of emphasis on freeing up the patient and giving the patient what they need to take care of themselves and their family, because we as physicians have become employees. We become slaves to the insurance company, and now we're going to have giant public health administrative structures on top of that. I would point you no further than the opioid crisis in this country to realize how the regulators bring bad medicine to bear on the populace. Same thing happened with the Women's Health Initiative. All the societies of gynecology and obstetrics got that one completely wrong, and were telling us at the time we were no better than witch doctors for not compliance again with their demands. So, Caleb, I wonder if you can help me. I don't see Christina on the Spaces just yet. Is she there?
We're still trying to get her. We're still trying to get her loaded in here. There were some technical difficulties because she's on the other side of the world, so we couldn't actually get any of her video stuff to work yet. So she's going to join us through Twitter Spaces, and it's just taking an extra few minutes to get her loaded in there. So she should be here any minute now.
Okay. All right. And will I see her as Christina, or
when I see her, I'll bring her up as a speaker. Yeah, she'll.
You'll bring her up. Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring her up as soon as she's here.
Okay. Do you want to maybe bring Kelly in the meantime, or shall I'll just keep going here, but while we try to track her down. So,
It should just
okay,
take.
I'll bring Kelly
She
in
should
then.
be here any minute.
Well, in any event, yeah, the World Health Organization, the further you put healthcare away from the actual patient, the more harm you're going to do and the less effective and efficient things become. I mean, witness no further than what happened with the power that insurance resources took in this country, where, when I was practicing medicine, particularly in the psychiatric setting, there would be someone with a book in Illinois, someone, maybe a nurse or maybe less, not even that much clinical training, who was going through the criteria that the insurance company sets, not what criteria I believe the patient meets in terms of needing their care. And it was the craziest experience. It went on for years, which was I would use simple medical lingo to scare the reviewer because they were psychiatric reviewers and were extremely harsh and brutal on the psychiatric side, but were scared to death by medical diagnoses. And at the same time, their ability to control what we did in terms of care of the psychiatric patients was draconian. They would send that then to a reviewer, a doctor-to-doctor review, which would often happen first thing in the morning if the patient had been admitted the night before. And I knew immediately that meant that doctor's job was to prevent this patient from accessing their insurance resources. That's how they did things. That's gone on for decades now, and we've now lost control to employees and to hospitals and to various professional societies setting pathways and requiring certain. We've got Christine here, I believe. So, there she is. So, are you going to bring her up, Caleb?
Yeah, it's sorry. Yeah, it's loading right now. She's here and
Okay.
it's loading.
And then you could bring her up as soon as.
Yeah, then I'll bring her up. You'll hear her.
And does she go by Christine, or do we call her Representative Anderson, or how do we refer to an EU Parliament member? I don't even know.
We can actually ask her once she loads in.
That would be a wise thing to do.
Christine, if you can hear us,
do
it'll pop up in purple at the top of your Twitter app or your X app to I invited you as a speaker.
Caleb. And I've frozen up here a bit.
I'll give it a second.
Here she comes.
I don't know what happened there, and I don't know if people can hear me or not. This is a day of interesting technical issues. Susan's going to... Oh, no, here we come. There, we're back. We are back. So Caleb, is Christine able to be... Can we bring her up as a speaker?
She's coming.
Okay.
Here she is. She's coming.
There we are.
Can you hear Caleb?
I do. Christine, can you hear me?
It's connecting to her right now. It's in Twitter's hands.
I don't see that.
Come on, Elon.
Come on, Elon.
Oh, no. I don't see it on the on my scroll here. She still says listener. Maybe make
She's
her
a
a
speaker.
co-host
She
or
is.
something.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
It's just there. Oh no.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah. This is we appreciate everyone's patience today. That I do think this is an important guest. Kelly could come in as soon as I can get Caleb's attention if we want to kind of work further on Christine. I think this would be important for you all to hear her point of view and some of the things she has thinking, because this is a significant threat. Giving fiat authority to an administrative body over your health and well-being above the what should we call it? The sovereign independence of our elected officials. That is an extraordinary move. And again, they've shown themselves not to be the most sophisticated in terms of making good decisions, particularly when it comes to risk reward. And who could from on high like that? It's an absurd idea even to make medical decisions for the world. That is an insane idea, humbly. So, why don't, Caleb, if you can, bring Kelly in while we wait for...
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring
Christine
Kelly
to come,
in.
and
Let's bring Kelly in right now.
Okay, let's do that.
Here she comes.
That would be great. And we'll have the usual intro videos with you, Kelly, after a few minutes. There you are. So
Perfect.
You heard what I was saying about World Health Organization. Now your chance to chime in on that.
Yeah, and I think, our listeners have heard me say this before, and it is not hyperbole, Drew. The WHO is fundamentally the long arm of the Chinese Communist Party. They are not independent, and they do not have our best interests in mind. We do not share common, meaning we, meaning certainly the United States and other democracies, do not share the same cultural and philosophical basis of understanding of what our society should be. Dr. Tedros, the head of the WHO, the first person in more than 70 years to lead the WHO, is not actually he's not a medical doctor. And it's the first time in more than 70 years that that's been the case. He has a PhD.
What is he? How is he trained?
He has a PhD in community health. Now, the reality
this is how horrible things are happening with public health. It's precisely how bad things are happening.
Correct. And so the name of the WHO's current program, their current efforts, is called, quote, One Health. Now, I like you a lot, Drew. I like Caleb. I like Susan. But I'm here to tell you, we don't have the same health. We don't have one health.
Right.
Okay? So the idea that the WHO wants to foist on the globe an idea of one health, that we're all going to be treated the same way, we're all going to have one size fits all approach to whatever it is, that is insanity. It is preposterous, because we don't share the same understandings of. I just posted on Twitter, and I mean this. The idea that our concept, Drew, of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is fundamentally an American idea, that is going away in May of 2024 if this, quote, treaty passes. It is going to be disastrous. It will fundamentally change everything it means to be an American.
Yes, it's mortifying to see all this. I see some people over on the Rumble Rant saying that this is just also the long arm of the World Economic Forum. And I did notice, I was looking at some articles today, that the WF is pushing this whole treaty, which is just the oddest thing to me, that we allow this to happen. I guess there's a bigger question to ask. Why are we even in the World Health Organization?
Well, rightly so. And you may recall that we opted out of the WHO. We were not a member nation under President Trump. We got re-entered into it under this current administration. And I think it was a very, very bad decision. You don't have to agree with everything that President Trump did to have agreed with that one, to get out of the WHO. Interestingly, with regard, and I'm sure Christine can speak more about this, but with regard to this treaty, you are in it automatically as a member nation of the WHO unless you specifically opt out of it. In other words, you have to make an active effort. Now, 22 countries, member countries of the WHO, Drew, have opted out so far of the treaty. And they are countries like Cuba, Syria, Iran, okay? They have opted out. Not the United States, of course. We're all in. We're all in. I mean, it is insanity. What is it that you think that Iran and Syria and Cuba know about this treaty that the United States can't seem to figure out? Because the idea that we are in this thing, and that your average American, your average physician, your average person doesn't really have any idea that this thing is coming down the pike. And God knows our people in Congress seem to. Yeah, they're clueless.
Yeah, Michelle Bachmann said they're not aware, they're not interested. And then there are people that saying we're overreacting by being so concerned about it. And had we not just been through such a mess, I would sort of probably be in that camp, I suspect, because I would not have believed what had happened could have happened. And now they're going for more. Whoa. Right. Now I'm concerned.
Right. And what this treaty would do ultimately, if people aren't aware, and we're already maybe got the horse in front of the cart, what this treaty would do is, in a time of, quote, public health crisis, public health emergency, very loosely defined, by the way, don't necessarily think that means a pandemic or infectious disease. It might be a public health crisis of, I don't know, maybe climate change. I don't know, maybe gun violence. Anything that the WHO decides is a public health crisis, they then intercede and they supersede the sovereignty of our own Constitution.
Yes,
they take
I
over.
understand.
They now have control, and they can initiate or institute or mandate anything that they believe is in the best interest of the public, which means absolutely they would be able to mandate, for example, vaccines across the board. They could mandate that people turn over their firearms. They could, if it's a gun issue, they could mandate that people can't drive, fuel, gasoline or diesel vehicles. I mean, they could come up with anything. The list is quite endless. And the idea that we would be handing over our own sovereignty to an entity that is not elected, not accountable, and doesn't share our core constitutional values, to me, is terrifying. There's a reason I don't live in Beijing. I don't want to live in Beijing.
Right. And even,
Sorry.
You got to remember, even though, as you say, it is something funded by the Chinese government, this supersedes the Chinese government, even though they may have sway over it. Who knows? I mean, why aren't they a little bit upset about it as well? It seems to me, but maybe it's their plan in the long run. I don't know.
Well, because, Drew, I think you've just asked the pivotal question. I think because they do share the same values with the World Economic Forum and the WHO. They share common values, which is that people are expendable. There should be a tiny, tiny group of people at the very top of the pyramid who make all the decisions, and the rest of us are worker bees. The rest of us are drones who own nothing, who make no decisions, and who do as we are told in order to be fed and clothed and educated. However they see fit.
If you want how wacky it gets over there, I have a friend who was a friend of a stand-up comic over there who said a couple things that ran afoul of the government a little bit, like gently in his stand-up, and they just outlawed stand-up. No more comedy. Yeah. You can't do stand-up comedy in China. That's it. No.
Right.
So
right.
That's
and
the kind
so
of
that's
stuff you want to be under those kinds of circumstances.
And he disappeared.
He maybe was disappeared. Yes. So let's do this.
Right.
Let's. We have a mechanism, I think, to get Christine here.
Okay.
We're going to take a little break.
Call me, Christine.
Yeah. Call Susan. I think we're setting that up, and we have a way to run it through our system. We will get her. We are very excited to talk to her. We're dying to talk to her, and we will hopefully have her after this. I know. After this break, we'll hopefully have her.
Okay.
I think everyone knows the next medical crisis could be just around the corner, whether it comes in the form of another pandemic or something much more routine like a tick bite. You and your family need to be prepared. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You know the Wellness Company. We have their physicians on, like Dr. McCullough, frequently. The Wellness Company and their doctors are medical professionals you can trust. And their new medical emergency kits are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy.
It's a safety net. It's an insurance policy
absolutely.
that you hope you're not going to
100%.
need, but if you need it, you sure as heck are going to wish you had it if you need it.
Be ready for anything. This medical emergency kit contains an assortment of life-saving medications, including ivermectin, Z-Pak. The medical emergency kit provides a guidebook to aid in the safe use of all these life-saving medications. From anthrax to tick bites to COVID-19, the Wellness Company's medical emergency kit is exactly what you need to have on hand to be prepared. Rest assured, knowing that you have emergency antibiotics, antivirals, and antiparasitics on hand to help you and your family stay safe from whatever life throws at you next. Go to drdrew.com/TWC. That is DRDREW.com/TWC to get 10% off today. Just click on that link. Susan and I have been looking for nutrition-packed, great-tasting greens drink for a while. And then we tried our friends at Paleo Valley's Organic Super Greens, which is superior to what's out there on the market. Our friends at Paleo Valley, well, they think of everything, and they've created what's been called a magical green powerhouse. All three delicious varieties, pure unflavored, strawberry lemonade, and tropical, contain 23 certified organic, antioxidant-rich superfoods, including the highest quality spirulina. It's also free of cereal grasses, gluten, grains, soy, and dairy, and no added sugars or artificial sweeteners. And what's more, it delivers digestive enzymes, polyphenols, which are believed to burn fat, and 8 essential amino acids.
Imagine the time, effort, and cost of trying to make this yourself. It's impossible. Head on over to drdrew.com/paleovalley and you will get 15% off your first order. All the great products they have there, 15% off at drdrew.com/paleo, Paleo. These products have transformed my life and Susan's and saved our marriage. Discover the key to oral hygiene, regardless of your current daily dental routine. Whether you diligently brush and floss multiple times a day, or you struggle, you got bleeding gums, bad breath, plaque buildup, this revelation is for both of you. Surprisingly, over 350,000 Americans experience health issues that may be connected to their toothbrush or even caused by it, ranging from heart or blood sugar problems, forgetfulness, digestive difficulties, immune issues, all related to oral hygiene. Scientific studies have shown that a simple switch of your toothbrush can lead to a healthier teeth and potentially save your marriage. Yes, save your marriage. Our study, we did a personal study. My wife, Susan, hates the sound of the sonic toothbrushes, but introducing the Real White Sonic toothbrush, of course, also their hydroxyapatite dirty mouth mineral toothpaste by Primal Life Organics, these products have transformed my life and Susan's and saved our marriage. It's much quieter. It's a very powerful toothbrush, but it is quiet and it saved our marriage. So, the Real White Sonic toothbrush from Primal Life Organics stands out among all other electric toothbrushes I've tried. It effectively eliminates plaque, harmful bacteria, promotes gum health. Get yours and enjoy 60% off at naturaltoothbrush.com/DREW. Some platforms have banned the discussion of controversial topics. If this episode ends here, the rest of the show is available at drdrew.tv.
There's nothing in medicine that doesn't boil down to a risk-benefit calculation. It is the mandate, public health, to consider the impact of any particular mitigation scheme on the entire population. This is uncharted territory, Drew.
Okay, Kelly, we are going to have Christine Anderson. She, of course, is a German member of the European Parliament, a vocal advocate for medical freedom. As we mentioned earlier, you can find her Make It Your Business tour on Facebook. Caleb has a whole placard we will throw up for that. And we have been struggling to get her in here. We are so excited to talk to her. Please welcome Christine Anderson. Christine, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We do. God bless you. Thank you so much for going through all this for us. I don't know if you could hear what we were saying before we got you onto the horn here, but we, Dr. Kelly Victory and I are very, very concerned, as you are, about medical freedom, about the extraordinary reach that is being commanded by this new so-called treaty. I will let you turn you loose a little bit about how important it is for everyone to make it their business.
Yeah, it is extremely important because what happens when you chose to just, do whatever you're told and to kind of just go along with everything and, basically become a follower, we have had to learn the hard way back in the 30s in Germany. So, yes, it is everyone's business to get involved and to really, make it a point and to clearly think about what we all stand to lose. We are talking about freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. So the very foundation of all of our democracies. And if they actually pull through with their despicable plans of granting an unelected body like the WHO governing powers, then you can just kiss freedom, democracy, and the rule of law goodbye.
And Christine,
that's it.
Christine, one of the things that I found so appealing about some of your rhetoric is you put them on notice that this is about these fundamental principles upon which we've all thought we've lived for all these years, and that you're coming for them. You're going on the offensive. My question is, are you finding appropriate partners to help this offensive move? Is it building, or do you need help? How do people get involved? How's it going, I guess, is the bigger question.
Well, it's going. It's not, going as rapidly as I would have hoped it would, but it's coming along. I have supporters. I have colleagues who, also fight for freedom and democracy and the rule of law, and we're working together. But this is a fight that it is not enough for a handful of MEPs in the European Parliament to stand up for it. It's not enough that, there is some representatives in the United States that advocate for it. We need the people on our side, and we really need numbers, on the street right now. If the people continue to be nonchalant about it, and because they're, for the most part, they're gaslit and manipulated, and all of that. If we don't manage to wake the people up, and if the people don't realize what's actually happening around them, then we might actually be in for some very cruel times coming ahead.
Kelly, I want to give you a chance to ask
Really important.
Christine, hi, and thanks so much for joining us and putting up with the technical issues here. Although I would like to believe that everyone listening to the show today is well versed in this, and I kind of teed it up before we got you on what this quote treaty would mean. Take a few minutes, if you would, and explain in lay terms what this really is, and frankly, even break down the issue. I think even the word treaty is misleading. It's really more about amendments to existing international health policy. So take a few minutes, if you would, and really lay out what is it we are looking at being potentially passed in May of 2024 if we don't get our acts together and fight back.
Right. So the reason a lot of people refer to it as a new treaty is that's actually what they tried. There was it last year or 2 years ago? I can't even remember. Mm-hmm. They were actually trying to change the treaties. But because of the public outrage and because a lot of people took to the streets and, they kind of got scared. And the United States, they proposed 14 of those changes to the treaties. They withdrew because of the public pressure. They withdrew 12 of them. Though the only two changes that actually did find their way into the new treaty had something to do with some timetables. So instead of, I think it used to be a new change would not go into effect until 18 months after it had been passed, and they reduced that to 12 months. But the other 12 amendments, that was really, a power grab. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
But like I said, they withdrew those changes to the treaty due to the public pressure. But just, to make people realize it does work. So if people speak up, it does actually work.
Two
now
questions.
What they're trying to do.
Two questions I have. I would love to hear your thoughts on how much China's hands are on this, and what's going on, what do you suspect is going on that way. But my other question is, who are your best allies? I was in France during the darkest hours of the pandemic, and I was really impressed with the French youth pushing back because they felt that the fundamental principles of their government, they really were out in the streets every Saturday night. And I wonder where your allies are, and then what's going on with the Chinese part of this.
Okay. So my allies, speaking of Parliament, are the colleagues that I've been fighting for ever since we, decided to get together and do something about this. But my allies are, for the most part, the people. Like I said, we do need the people on our side because they're the ones, this is concerning, and they should be the ones speaking up against.
Is that throughout the EU? Are they speaking up? I see here. I saw people wanting, really weirdly liking the sort of control from above. It was very strange, especially in California. But like I said, in France they were rising up. Is that something? Well, is it young people? Is it old people? Where are you seeing it?
Well, in France, it's kind of particular when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, considering their history.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking about 1789, obviously. So, I mean, that's kind of like their mentality. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't do something, they take to the street. And they're not really, they take off their gloves if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a different mentality, and you have that in different in different countries. So Germany, the Germans are kind of what you would call like a subservient, an underling, that kind of mentality, and that was quite clearly seen once again. In these past 3 years, I mean, they were literally begging the government for even more restrictions and for more bashing down on, the so-called unvaccinated and all of that. So you have a lot of that stuff going on. But
Christine,
Go ahead, Kelly.
Christine, why do you think that the countries, I was saying before we got you connected here, I was talking about the countries that have, quote, opted out, because it's my understanding that you're automatically in unless you specifically opt out of this thing. You have to take an action. And countries like Syria and Iran and Cuba did that. They said, no, we don't want to participate in this, even though they're part of the WHO. Why is it that you think that some of these countries that I would say certainly are not aligned with us, at least here in the United States, have kind of figured it out and said, no, we don't want to participate in this thing?
Well, that's an interesting question. And to be honest, I really don't have an answer to that. But I can share an observation with you.
Please.
Everything that we saw, especially in the last 3 years, it was unprecedented what took place in Western democracies of all people, of all places, right? So infringements on fundamental rights. There were people were openly ostracized. They were threatened. You won't have a job anymore. No job, no job. That kind of business. So and it went deep into entire family life. So in Germany, the people, the so-called unvaccinated, were told they're not allowed to celebrate Christmas because they pose such a big threat to others. So it really got down to the very personal level. And that is something you see or you are familiar with in totalitarian regimes, where they're completely get, until the very little tiniest issue of your personal life. It has to be the same. So, and my observation is, it's quite obvious actually, it happened throughout the Western democracies. And they were all in lockstep. They read from the same script. They used the same terminology, the same phrases, build back better, safe and effective, and, no job. I mean, it was the whole thing all over. It's the pandemic of the unvaccinated. I mean, they read from the same script. Now, if countries like Syria, which is not a democracy, right? Or other countries in that part of the world, if they would not comply, it wouldn't be a big deal. Because you do not have to break down democratic principles in countries that aren't democratic in the first place. You only have to do that in the Western democracies, and only there. Because the Western democracies are the countries that are standing in the way of the globalitarian misanthropist wet dream of a total totalitarian rule over the world.
I'm going to pile on to that. The countries that have centralized authority or have a ruler of some type, they don't want to be told what to do either, but they already have a system, and they know what it is to tell people what to do, and they don't want anybody to tell them what to do. It's really super crazy that those would be the people. And the point I always make is that does anybody understand that as you move away from the patient and the doctor, the patient and the medical caregiver, and put layers and layers and layers of administration above that, you hurt people. You don't. It's the least effective way to deliver healthcare. And to have people that are not medically trained making these decisions or in the ultimate authority is just mind-boggling to me.
Well, not only that.
Go ahead, Christine.
You have people making decisions that are not politically accountable to you because
Right.
you never even elected them in the first place.
Right.
So the people running the WHO, I mean, they buy their way in. They're the richest of the super rich around the globe. I don't even know who they are. I have no clue.
Right.
Yeah, there is, names like Bill Gates and all of that. But Bill Gates is not really running the show and calling the shots. Mm-hmm. No, is he?
No.
The ones who are, I don't have the faintest idea.
Kelly.
No, and I think, suffice to say, I think there is nothing about the WHO that has anything to do with health. It just doesn't. It may have at one time, but it has nothing
crazy.
to do.
That is a crazy.
With health.
You're right. That should be our new slogan.
Okay?
That is a crazy, crazy thing to say.
The WHO, what a bad name, because it has nothing to do with health. Yeah. And calling it the WEF, the World Economic Forum, is closer to actually the reality that has nothing to do with health. It may have decades ago, but I can tell you in my lifetime, it certainly has not had anything to do with health.
Wow.
Right. But, that's just the thing. I mean, and looking at the world, the WHO, I mean, that's just one aspect, of a much bigger picture. All of these institutions, all of these entities, all of these organizations, they started out, as being a good idea,
Yeah.
You can even argue and can say that for WHO. It started out as a good idea. But what the people fail to realize, or fail to realize as it moves along and as it develops, is simply this. It will destroy the democratic principles throughout the world. Because what happens, you have now, so in instance of WHO, so in case that's, what they're trying to do with the changing of the international health regulations now, is to grant WHO governing powers in case of a pandemic. So WHO has the authority to call out a pandemic, to then immediately seize the governing powers of all those countries that adhere to the new proposed international health regulations. So what does that mean? Is they can do whatever the heck they want. Plus, provide the elected politicians, the elected governments, with plausible deniability. Because the politicians can always say, well, we would have never done that to you. We would not have imposed these mandates on you. But it's WHO. We can't do anything about it. So it's not providing for them plausible deniability. So the politicians that are kind of under pressure to impose those mandates and restrictions, they have a problem. They're up for re-election. And they may not get re-elected if they, come down too hard on the people. So they need to have someone else to do their dirty work for them.
And,
like I said, WHO is aspect.
Back to the lack of health being the major objective. What I know of the treaty, they also want to include things like animal welfare and climate and these emergencies under their authority, and God knows where else they go. I'm sure they'll get into military and food. Who knows what? There's an unlimited authority.
Didn't Tedros just a couple of days ago speak about climate will be a health emergency?
Yeah.
So, that's talking about it. Yeah. It's not like,
not a speculation.
It's not like that people that I'm making this stuff up. They are talking about it, and there are so many things. If you want to see, if you want to hear, you will see and you will hear. But like I said, WHO is just one aspect. So you have all of these other issues, like the EU institutions, for example. They're serving the very same purpose as WHO, as I just explained, will provide politicians with plausible deniability. The same is happening with the EU institutions. It provides all of the elected governments and politicians in the member states with plausible deniability, because they can tell their people, well, we would not have imposed that on you. It's you. So, and this is happening everywhere with every single organization that is somewhat acting on a global level. They're just stepstones. Stepstones, and pretty much like a way of stripping people of democratic principles. That's what it is all about.
And is
Christine,
China
how do you
involved
see
with this? And go ahead, Kelly. Ask your questions. I'll leave that one on the back burner.
What I was going to say is, Christine, how do you see this playing out? This is going to be, it's my understanding that the vote is coming up in May of 2024. How does this play out? What from your purview is going to happen? And tangential to that, what should people, ever since I posted on Twitter that I was having this conversation, we were having this conversation with you today, people have been responding saying, what can we do? What should we do? Short of telling them that sort of the standard,
Right.
Contact your congressman, how does this play out, and how do people actively get involved to make a difference?
Okay. So number one, what I always tell the people, turn off your freaking television set. It is lying to you. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's dumbing you down. So that's step number one. Then, when you go shopping, just, what actually good idea is, I did that a couple of times. So I had a T-shirt made with, some line on it. So that one T-shirt read, mRNA shots, my body, my choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just wore it, going shopping. I never approached anyone. I just wore my T-shirt. So people noticed. And every so often, someone commented on it, sometimes in a positive way, which was good, sometimes in a negative way. But that's your way into a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the other T-shirt I have, it reads, in German there is a specific term for the people that protested the COVID measurements and restrictions, and it's called Schwurbler. It's pretty much just a mumbling idiot, how you could loosely translate it. So I had a T-shirt made, and it read, and the mumbling idiots were right after all. Let's just wear it. But it gives people who want to, it's somewhat provocative, right? But people will pick up on it, and they may approach you either positively or negatively. Either way, you have a way in, and you can start a conversation, right?
Yeah.
When it happens, I would caution people to not overwhelm people, because we don't know at what state they are at right now. They might just feel some kind of a rumbling, kind of like a feeling, well, something isn't quite right, but don't really know what it is. So if you start overwhelming them by, giving them all this data and blah, 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 you overwhelm them and they will shut down, So just kind of slowly, involve in the conversation, just raise a question, which they might just, something that didn't make any sense at all, just to get it going. So that's a good way.
Yeah.
To just, approach other people and maybe get them to think. Just start thinking.
Well, that's the part I keep asking about, which is, so the French see echoes of 1790s. Aren't the Germans seeing echoes of 1930? You opened with that comment. Yeah. Does that have any value, any traction to the Germans? Why aren't they? You would think that once they wake up to it, they would become panicked about the direction they're going.
Yes. And once again, they don't get it. They really don't. And it's so frustrating. And, the ones that scream loudest, never again, they were the ones marching right in front of the parade, leading it on.
Same thing here.
Seriously.
Same thing here. So, the people that railed hardest against the McCarthy era and all the those were the ones that flipped and became the advocates of this kind of stuff. So, it's very odd.
And the point is this. And that's really the most scary part of it all. The Nazis came to power in 1933. And the first time they were really openly passing legislation exposing their despicable and atrocious agenda against the Jews didn't happen until 1938. It took them 5 years. 5 years.
Yeah.
How long did it take them this time?
Yeah.
Not even a year. Not even a year. And once again, you had people on the bus being called out for not wearing a mask, being told they, leave the store. They're a threat to society and all of that. Not even a year. You had neighbors crying on each other, calling the police. There were 3 people sitting on a dinner table. There's only 2 people living there. All of the denunciation, all of that. Not even a year. And that's the most scary part about this. Truly.
I started thinking, I'm just curious, you have a perspective that we just don't have from over here. Is the Italian prime minister, she seems like someone that is very interested in freedom. Is she an ally in this?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last part.
The Italian prime minister seems to me to someone who would be sympathetic to this. Is she someone you can ally with and get out there speaking on it?
Yeah, well, Meloni, I don't quite know what to make of her yet.
Okay.
So before she got elected, she certainly knew the talk. She had that down. But when it came time to actually walk the talk, there were some, how should I put it, sidesteps? So, I really don't quite know what to make of her yet.
Okay.
She is like here and there, and now she is a little going strong again on the whole illegal invasion issue, or they call it migration, because they were just pretty much overrun. So she, stepped up her rhetoric, somewhat. But from what I got from what she said, it was not really that she had a problem with that, the illegal invasion was taking place. Her problem was that Italy was left alone in dealing with it. That is their problem. Rather than stopping the millions from coming, she just wants to distribute them equally, among all the member states. So
who are your?
Not hold my breath.
Kelly, go ahead.
Christine, who are your real open allies in the European Parliament? Who is on board and willing to take up arms,
so to speak?
Well, that is for one. There is Virginie Jourand, French deputy. Then there is Francesca Donato. She is Italian. Then there is Ivan Sinčić, Croatia. There is Christian Chorhash, Romania. And we are pretty much the ones that started out. So initially it was 4 of us, then Virginie joined, so we were 5 of us. Then there is Mislav Kolakusic, also Croatia. Then you have Rob Ross, Netherlands. There is a number of MEPs, but I mean, the ones that are willing to actually stand up in public and talk about it and denounce whatever they're doing, it's probably 12 or 13, not more. Then there is a few more that support in the background, but they do not want to speak up publicly about it. They fear repercussions within their party. You have that going on. And then you have the vast majority of MEPs, the rest of them. That's a mixture of, there is ones that really believe that WHO are really the good guys and EU is really the good guys. And anyone saying anything different is a Nazi, right? Then you have the ones, they're just so darn happy they finally belong to the club. So they don't really, they kind of see it's not right what they're doing, but they wouldn't want to jeopardize their position, finally being invited to the golf club and all of that, right?
Crazy.
Why would you want to, jeopardize that? Some stupid freedom and democracy, right? So that's kind of like their thinking, right?
Oh my!
And and then of course you have the people that are downright stupid. They just simply don't get it.
Well,
right?
so is there anything in the Make It Your Business campaign that we should be paying attention to specifically?
I'm sorry, in what campaign?
Your
In the
Facebook
election
campaign. Yeah.
Oh, Facebook campaign.
It's called, hang on, I'll tell you what
Make
it's
it your
called.
business.
It may not be you. Maybe it's not yours. It's called Make it your business.
Yeah.
Make it your business.
Yeah, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty much to make it your business.
Yeah.
And I initially said that because I was I was pretty much told, why don't I just mind my own business, staying here in EU Parliament, rather than criticizing Justin Trudeau, right, for his illiberal, perverted concept of democracy. So, and my response is, well, I'm making it my business because, and that's what I said, because I am so eternally grateful that the Canadians, among them, did not mind their own business. When in the 30s in Germany, we were living in a hellhole, right? And I'll be eternally grateful that the rest of the world did not just mind their own business, and that stepped in and put a stop to it. So yes, if I think if something is my business, well, I make it my business, and then it's my business.
Well, Christine,
so, and that's pretty much what it should be. Make it your business. Get involved, and especially with elections. Let me just finish that. Especially with elections coming up, do not listen to what they are saying. Look what they have been doing. Go into the records. How did they vote on particular issues? It's all on record.
Right.
You should recognize them by their deeds, not by their words.
And
Yes.
Christine, you've been very kind, struggling with us to get you up here. You did not disappoint. You can count on us to carry the message and make it our business. It has too many echoes of history to ignore, and I agree with you. That's the thing that has caught my attention most vividly, and it's mystifying to me that people don't study the French Revolution and the Second World War, and they don't seem to understand that these things happen in history, and if you don't do something very, very active, they will happen again. Both Kelly and I actually have to catch a plane, so we will let you go at this point, but I hope you will join us again when you have more messaging to push out there.
No, I will absolutely do that, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And maybe we won't run into so many difficulties as we did today.
Yes,
We'll get you a
Thank you.
WhatsApp application so you can.
I think to me it's just a sign of how much impingements there are.
So
on our
many
abilities.
ways to do it.
Well,
We had to figure it
liberties
out.
are impinged upon in ways we don't even realize it until we try to expand them, and then wow, it was rather extraordinary to find out we had such trouble getting you on here. But I'm glad we did, and I hope we do so again soon. And Kelly, I know you got to get your plane as well, so thank you as always. I'll see you tomorrow, correct? Usual time, I believe, 3:00.
Yes, with
let's not go through the schedule. Just put it up and we'll go.
There it is. We're going to wrap up. Thank you, Christine.
God bless
Thank
you
you,
guys.
everybody. We all got to get to the airport, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3:00 Pacific time.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help. There's a whole plexus of veins around the base of the anus there. For some people, genetically, they're prone to these things getting sort of irritated and then swollen and then engorged, and then they can thrombose, they can get clots in them, and they do kind of go in and out depending on how inflamed they are.
They like come and go.
They can literally come and go completely, or they can kind of stay put, but sort of literally pop in and out.
But if it's a vein, you can't remove it, right?
You can. There are various procedures. Yeah, they actually go in there, just take it out. You can see that there's a clotting procedure they're
Can you
doing
keep
there.
it when they take it out?
No, it doesn't. I don't think they've ever done that.
I'd keep mine.
It's a little rough.